Where to begin? Hi, my name is Jamie, and this is my first video in like a few years. If you're new here, I am a millennial, an elder millennial at this point, and I own an event planning company. So we do retreats for small companies and coaches and conferences, and thank God I'm an entrepreneur, because 2023 was literally the hardest year so far in my life. And I feel compelled to share my story because in the mid-30s is kind of usually where you learn. Like, you think you're gonna have your life together and you're gonna be like halfway to retirement and financially stable and maybe having kids if that's what you want, and, you know, owning your dream house and your car and your white picket fence. For me, it was traveling the world. 2023 really humbled me. So we're gonna go back to the beginning of 2023. I just gotten back from a 5-month stint in Southeast Asia. Micah, my husband, and I, we got married. We explored 9 countries and learned a lot about ourselves, about our relationship, about the world that literally they don't teach us in school. And it was just absolutely amazing. And so this is gonna be also partly a travel channel because I love traveling and I host international retreats. So you're gonna be seeing a modge podge of things. But in January, I came home. Within 2 weeks, I had 3 new clients and I was starting to add teams. So I already had an assistant and I was like, okay, who else do I need to hire? And I was actually really growing my business. So fast forward to about April, and one of my largest clients started to have money problems. So I'd never entered this territory before, but I just continued to plan. As long as the payments were going through, I just continued to work on her for large events. Since she took up so much space, it was either add team or slow down signing, like finding clients, pivoting to digital products. At this point, I was kind of stressed out. I was like, is this how it's supposed to be? I felt like I was not really in control of my life or of my business. I was working 10-hour days. It just wasn't that fun. And then one of my dad's best friends from college that he's known over half of his life passed away from pancreatic cancer. He was at my wedding celebration, and that was the last time I saw him. And while my dad was busing him to doctor's appointments and spending as much time with him as possible, it's the beginning stages of seeing, like, we are entering, or I am entering that stage where our parents, our friends' parents, are starting to pass away. At that point, I knew deep down that it was only a matter of time for my own parents. And so that, like, really did a number on me. It was starting to affect me mentally. The following week, I finally took my vacation to go visit my dear friends, my work mom, Cindy, in Montana, because her husband was turning 75. And so they were throwing a party at their Montana home, which I've never been to Montana. So I was like, heck yes, let's go see some mountains. Let's go be in the quiet. It was peaceful. It was exactly what I needed. I needed to turn off. Then I got a phone call, and it was shattering. One of my really good friends called and said our friend Amy had died. Emily was beside herself. She could barely say the words. And in that moment, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are you talking about? There's no way. That's not a thing. There's no way that this is true. Are you sure? Like, there's no way. Amy's sister had contacted her to let her know the news. I immediately fell to the floor. I was in this cookout in the middle of a field beside a stream, enjoying my time playing cornhole. I collapsed. Amy was my first friend out of college. Shared a cubicle at our very first job. It was amazing. We clicked like everything. Thanks to Amy, I went on my first international adventure. Thanks to Amy, I have my friend group. I was introduced to my husband. Until Asia, Amy was my adventure friend. Anytime I had a wild idea, she was there. She said, okay, when are we leaving? I went on cruises with her. We camped together in the Blue Ridge Mountains, went on roller coasters together every spring when her mom's company bought out Kings Island. She was my adventure friend. She also visited me in Thailand. She was so much. She talked me into getting my MBA, and we graduated at the same time. And then she was gone. And so I get home from Montana. I'm numb. I don't remember half that trip. And we go to take my cat to the vet. And thinking things can't get worse, because, like, why would they get worse? The vet calls and says, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but your cat has cancer. Luckily, we caught it early, but there is no cure. So you have 1 to 2 years max. So hi, Pumpkin. Some head scratches. Anyone who's ever met this cat falls madly in love with her. First of all, she's a female orange tabby, which is super rare, but she's just the sweetest little baby. My sister loves her, my family loves her, everyone loves her. She's amazing. And all I did for 2 weeks was hold her and cry because my friend died, she's dying, my parents' friends are dying, everyone's dying. Everyone's dying around me. And it sent me into an existential crisis of, is this all I have to look forward to the rest of my life? I'm 36, we're not planning on having kids, and I was really struggling to figure out what's the point in everything. Why am I doing any of this? My ultimate goal is to travel the world, but is this really what I'm meant for? And then, like, it couldn't get any worse, right? It can't get any worse, but if you know the old wives' tale, bad omens come in sets of threes, and so the third thing happened. A high-ticket client, the biggest account I had at the time, defaulted on her payment. Had to lay off all my staff. And you know what? I really took 2 months to, like, just crawl in a ball and cry because everything around me was falling apart. And so literally 2023 was the year of death and dying on so many different levels. So it took 2 or 3 months to just be. This is the part that I'm grateful that I'm an entrepreneur and I could take that time to literally just exist, because at that point I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. I just wanted to exist, because if I just existed, no more awful things could happen to me. And that makes me really nervous to put this on the internet. After a couple of months, I actually felt ready to get back into a routine. I needed something easy. I needed a reason to shower. I needed something that was gonna get me out of bed and get me dressed and everything. I wasn't exercising, I was putting on weight, and I was like, I am ready to try to exist again. I'm ready to try to be a human. During the fall and the winter, I took an amazing trip with one of my best friends and her husband, who's also my cousin. That's a long story. And I realized how much fun I was having being in a group and exploring Mexico and just having fun again. It felt like things were back on track, and they were, and they are. So now we're up to January, I guess, 2024. And I feel compelled to share this story because there's no manual for life. They don't tell you what to expect in your 30s and what to expect for life when people start dying. Like, life doesn't prepare you for loss. It gives you the optimism that everything is gonna be amazing all the time, and it's not. There's not a real manual for entrepreneurship either. You just kind of have to navigate through it. And navigating both of those is really hard. So what I've done is I've set an intention, and I'm going to show up on the internet. I'm going to post about my retreat planning. I'm going to post about my travel exploration and adventures. But that's not like the super exciting part. I've set 3 huge goals. I just turned 37. My 3 huge goals that are absolutely wild for me. First one is hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. The second wild goal is to hike the Santiago del Camino, like France, Spain. And this is gonna be in tribute of Amy. We talked about doing it together, but it just has to happen. And then the third insane goal I have by the time I turn 40, so I have 3 years, is I want to hike to Everest Base Camp on the year 40. So not only is this a journey of doing hard things, mental toughness, it's also an exercise of discipline and getting in shape. The Inca Trail is going to be first in October. Surely in 8 months, I can be fit enough to hike the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. So I'm going to revisit, what is this channel about? It's about being an older millennial. It's about traveling and trying new things. It's about finding balance in your life, if that even exists. I hope you decide to come along with me.